Today on the CTV News at 5, economic boom. With the world's women's curling and 4 other big sporting events, the city is cashing in. Plus, the sole survivor of a horrific murder-suicide is now home in PEI. And remembering Stephen, the man killed in a Sparwood avalanche, is laid to rest in Cardston on what would have been his 34th birthday.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Business is booming in the Bridge this weekend. The World Women's Curling starts tomorrow, and it's just one of several sporting events the city is hosting over the next few days. And all the attention means Lethbridge's economy is set to score big. Alicia Fieldberg reports.
The world will be watching Lethbridge for 9 days when the World Women's Curling Championship kicks off Saturday. Thousands are expected to travel to the city to be part of the action, and all of those people need a place to sleep, eat, and relax. That's good news for local businesses.
Everything's closed out, so that means all the hotels are full, not just within Lethbridge, but within the whole region.
Curling isn't the only game in town this weekend. Lethbridge College is hosting women's national basketball finals. High school basketball provincials are actually in Cardston and Raymond, but it's still a slam dunk for Lethbridge businesses.
We've been booked now for about a 30-day period. It sort of fluctuates a little bit from time to time with people sort of dropping out and jumping in, but it's been really, really good for the last 30 days, I gotta say.
Lethbridge minor hockey representatives say they have 15 visiting teams in the city for Pee Wee Provincials and Junior Hurricanes initiation. Hotels are so full, they've had to find accommodations for some of the teams in Tabor. Of course, it's not just hotels scoring big.
You know, downtime between games, those people go shopping, they go eating, they look around, they go to the sites, so it'll impact everybody.
Economic Development Lethbridge estimates the World Curling will bring in $4.5 million in direct spending. On top of that, the group estimates an impact of $4 million from international media attention. Anytime
you can get that kind of awareness, it's going to have some impact.
We'd love to have one of these events just about every day of the week, but it's great for Lethbridge. You know, it's obviously not the largest city in the in our province here, but we do have an awful lot to offer here in the city. It really brings a lot of great things for our people in the community, but also sets us up on the world stage as well.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And it's not just sporting events keeping business booming. Nearly 100 students and deans from colleges and universities across Alberta are in the city for a business competition at the U of L this weekend. Okay, Dory, so we've got some snow and rain tomorrow, but temperatures still above average.
Yeah, you know, we're not doing bad temperature-wise. Certainly, slightly above average temperatures are good for this time of year. But yeah, it will be a reminder that winter has not left the province yet. And that won't be happening until late Monday night into early Tuesday is when we have Tuesday is our first full day of spring. So we've got some winter-like weather ahead. Couple centimeters of snow expected in Lethbridge over the next little while, but it's areas to the north that are going to get the bulk of the snow. I'll tell you more about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. Well, the sole survivor of a horrific murder-suicide near Clara's home is now back home in Prince Edward Island. Shayna Conway said goodbye to friends in Calgary last night before flying home to her native PEI 3 months to the day after she was left for dead in a tragic roadside shooting near Clara's home. Now, last December, the 21-year-old was driving her friends Mitch McLean and Tanner Craswell to Calgary to fly home for Christmas in PEI. Her friend Tabitha Steppel went along for the ride. Police say Steppel's ex-boyfriend, Derek Jensen, forced their vehicle off the road. He shot all 4 of them before turning the gun on himself. Conway was the only survivor. She was shot in the thigh, stomach, and shoulder that left her partially paralyzed. Conway told reporters in Charlottetown last night movement is returning to her limbs. She was overwhelmed and extremely grateful, calling all the support that she's received just amazing, and she can't thank anybody enough. What do you even say? There's no words. Conway still requires a cane to walk. In January, a memorial was held for the shooting victims. Lethbridge's Prairie Baseball Academy has created scholarships to honor Tanner Craswell and Mitch McLean. Well, police say the circumstances surrounding a pickup truck being rammed into a Tabor Tim Hortons restaurant are very bizarre, to say the least. Officers have charged a Tabor man with stealing an oil truck and then using it to push his own pickup truck into the restaurant. 29-year-old Jake Cron is also charged with dangerous and impaired driving. Police say Cron's brother had driven the pickup into the parking spot earlier. Heinrich Cron of Sterling is charged with obstruction and public mischief. Officers used video surveillance to help in their investigation. Jake Cron will make his first court appearance March 20th. His brother is scheduled to appear March 29th. A Honduras man named one of Canada's most wanted has been arrested in Cardston. 29-year-old Johnny Gonzalez is now being held in Border Services custody. He's not allowed in Canada because of an American conviction of drug trafficking. Gonzalez, who's used a dozen different aliases, was picked up earlier this week without incident. He'll now face a detention review before the Immigration and Refugee Board. A Lethbridge church charity has won a court decision against its very own bishop. The Catholic Charities Clothes Bank has been struggling for 5 years. The group planned to refinance but needed approval from the Calgary Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church, which they never got. The matter was taken to court for a judge to decide if the bishop legally owns the building where the clothes bank operates. And this week, a judge ruled in the charity's favor and ordered the land titles be given to the local board within 30 days. The charity will now meet to decide the future of the clothes bank, which may include amalgamating the store with the processing center. The Canadian Centre for International Justice says a Guatemalan man arrested in Lethbridge should be tried in our country. 53-year-old Jorge Sosa was arrested while visiting family in Lethbridge last year. He's wanted by the Guatemalan authorities for the alleged massacre of civilians in the village of Dos Eras during that country's civil war. Human rights groups in Guatemala are concerned about what will happen now that there's a new government and whether they'll allow cases like Sosa's to continue. The Canadian Centre for International Justice says Canada has the proper crimes charge to charge him with here, and Sosa is currently in custody in Calgary, fighting an extradition order to the U.S., facing immigration charges. And for the third time in the last 4 weeks, the Canadian Avalanche Centre has issued a special warning for backcountry users. The warning area includes all of the mountains of interior BC, including those along the Alberta border. Officials say there is a lot of new snow in the high country that hasn't yet stabilized, and it's sitting on top of weak layers of snow. People are advised to avoid avalanche terrain. The special avalanche warning is in effect until Monday. A memorial service was held in Cardston today for the man killed in an avalanche near Sparwood, BC a week ago. Stephen Hall was snowmobiling with friends last Friday when he was caught in an avalanche in what's known as the Corbin Pipeline between the Crow's Nest Pass and Sparwood. Hall, who would have been celebrating his 34th birthday today, is being remembered as a loving companion who gave 100% to everything he did. Terry Vogt reports.
Lara Hall says she and Stephen were always best friends. She describes him as a man of honesty, integrity, and service.
An amazing husband, amazing father, and even though he's not with us, we know he's watching us.
The couple shared a strong belief in the LDS faith. Stephen was a youth leader while growing up in Cardston and coaching junior high basketball in Lethbridge. Lara also played and coached basketball, a common interest that strengthened their relationship.
Our first 4 years of marriage revolved around playing basketball together and coaching together.
Lara says her husband was also a loving and devoted father to their 4 young children, who range in age from 7 years to 13 months. A week before his 34th birthday, he left for a weekend of snowmobiling near Sparwood, the area where Lara grew up. She was spending the weekend in Cardston, planning a church girls' camp scheduled for this summer.
I'd come to his stomping ground in Cardston, and he'd gone back to my stomping ground in Sparwood, is where I was raised. And we were kind of chuckling about that before he left.
Stephen and his friends were all experienced snowmobilers who had received avalanche training. They were carrying the appropriate safety gear and weren't in an area they considered to be dangerous. Even so, coming from Sparwood, Lara was well aware that snowmobiling can be risky.
It's always been something I've, kind of worried about, but always trusted Steve and trusted his judgment. And like I said, he was prepared. He had everything that he was supposed to have, and he wasn't being foolish or going in crazy areas, But the mountains are very unpredictable. And we do believe that God has a plan, and this is part of our family's plan.
Only a month ago, Lara and Steve set new goals for the future, talked about going back to the basics and doing everything better. In February, they took a trip to California.
I was feeling guilty about going on this holiday and leaving my children, and he said, you know, you and I need this. You and I need this. This is us. This is our time. You and I need this. And looking back, I'm so grateful that he followed those feelings that he had.
Now, as she prepares to go home without her husband and companion, Lara says she finds strength in her faith, her family, and their large circle of friends. Terry Boat, CTV News, Sterling.
In lieu of flowers, a trust fund has been set up at RBC for Lara and her children. You can visit any RBC location and say your donation is for Lara Hall. Now, if you want to help out the community, but you don't know where to start, you can stop by your local Safeway this Saturday and drop off a can or two. Brooks, Tabor, Medicine Hat, and Lethbridge Safeways are once again participating in the annual Friends Helping Friends campaign. Volunteers will be set up at local Safeways around the community, accepting cash and food donations to help those less fortunate. All donations made will directly help local food banks stock their shelves. Friends Helping Friends has been around for over 20 years because of the success and support of local communities. So stop by your local Safeway this Saturday to drop off your non-perishable food or cash donation. Well, camping outside of Apple stores waiting for their latest products release is now becoming a tradition. The new iPad hit retail shelves today. Only a few people showed up this morning at the iWorld store, the Park Place shopping mall. Over 1 million of the next generation tablets have already been scooped up around the world. The iPad 3 features a new camera and retinal display, which Apple says will make for clearer viewing of photos and movies. The new iPad will set you back about $519. Speaking of money, the dollar closed slightly higher today. Here's a wrap on the week's numbers.